Hey everybody, nice to talk to you again. I just got back from 9 days of wandering the desert on a bicycle, and it's been pretty cool. I came back to find two new Halloween trailers waiting for me, a US and an international trailer for the upcoming 2018 Halloween film, which should be out in a little over a month. It's getting pretty positive word from its premiere at Toronto International Film Festival, and there's a lot of reason to be excited. I definitely am. I personally find myself a little more excited about or drawn to the international trailer than the US one. Not just because it focuses more on Laurie Strode, but because the shots of Michael in that one just are a little bit scarier to me. Excuse me. And I can't help but wonder if those shots aren't more of Nick Castle as Michael than the new guy, Courtney Taylor, or whatever his name is. Only time will tell. We'll probably have to wait till the Blu-ray comes out to find out exactly who played Michael in what scene, and I'm really curious. But I also realized in my previous video charting the Halloween franchise that we went through the original trilogy, we went through the Thorn trilogy, and we went through the first Miramax retcon with H2O and Resurrection. And I completely forgot, which is apropos, the second Miramax retcon, which went all the way back to the beginning and handed off the franchise to another visionary director. Cards on the table, Rob Zombie is my least favorite genre filmmaker of all time. I just don't fucking get what he does. And I don't know why we need to have so many movies that just kind of wade in the same shallow end of this subject matter. He doesn't really seem to be doing a lot of exploring. He's just kind of doing it over and over again. This satanic, Mansonoid hillbilly thing, which wasn't that appealing to begin with, and it becomes less and less appealing with every film that he makes. So, yeah, those happened. Miramax approached Rob Zombie and said, "Hey, you want to remake Halloween? Make it a Rob Zombie movie, please." And he signed his contract and took his money and complained a lot about it in interviews. But he did it again for part two, you know, when Miramax came back and said, "Hey, make part two even more Rob Zombie than the first one." So, yeah, it's interesting, you know, like, even before the first one came out, I remember Rob Zombie in interviews complaining about what he perceived to be the problem of remakes, which was if you're too faithful to the original, people will ask, why bother? And if you're too different, people will ask, why bother calling it the title of the film that you're remaking? And rather than try and find a creative solution somewhere in the middle, he seemingly just gave up and chose option B. And not only took the Halloween franchise into this shrieking, gratuitous, repetitive, obnoxious, head-bashing, satanic, chicken-fucking, hillbilly, Satan-worshipping territory, but actually changed the archetypal essence of Michael Myers' character, to the point where we're asking, why bother calling this Halloween? Why bother calling this character Michael Myers? He wears the mask, he has the name, that's the only, and the theme plays once in a while. And those are the only recognizable shreds of Michael Myers in this character. If he was not wearing that mask, we would maybe like more easily assume him to be Leatherface than Michael Myers. Fancy that. So yeah, I mean, in essence, and I'm working on a big meta chart, the entire family tree of horror franchise movie monsters dating all the way back to the Universal RKO monsters from the 1920s through the 1940s. And even though the 80s slasher might seem like its own archetype under its own umbrella, and culturally to a certain degree it is, the big three slashers, Freddy, Michael, and Jason, are all very different. Jason being more of a werewolf slash Phantom of the Opera archetype, which is to say that he was made evil by nurture rather than nature. He was born with some physical issues which made life very difficult for him, but taking vengeance for his mother is his primary motivation. And maybe territoriality, anybody who wanders into his campground. So he's a nurturer archetype, whereas Michael, in the original film, just one day, at 6 years old, decided he didn't want to be nice anymore, picked up a knife, killed his sister, and stopped talking. And ever since then, he has been this irrational, unreachable force of pure evil. Like he is the personification of the other, of the shadow, of everything that we don't understand about human nature. And Zombie basically, his tack was, okay, well, what if Dracula was a werewolf? And that's the biggest fundamental problem these films have, and this is what derails the Halloween films, much more so than the complete superficial grindhouse bullshit aesthetic that they both have. So we've got this 2018 Halloween coming out, and also the same month we've got this remake of Suspiria coming out. And in this remake, I think Rob Zombie would learn a lot just from looking at the trailer. Again, we'll see how the movie plays out, but I'm really optimistic about this trailer. It looks literally to have hit the perfect sweet spot between faithful and different. It's faithful enough that you know you're watching Suspiria. The plot elements are essentially there. And while knowing that they couldn't recreate the style of the original Suspiria, and that the style was so much of what made that first film what it is, and so memorable, and so lasting. Rather than try to recreate that, they went for this very kind of bleached out, drab colors, kind of more realistic approach. And it seems like it might work perfectly. So, Rob, if you're listening, there's a way to do this, and you seem like a nice guy. You seem like someone that I would really love to hang out and have a beer with and talk about film. As a filmmaker, Zombie has an audience that he connects with, so I'm not going to make the arrogant judgment call that he's a bad filmmaker. The most I can say is that as a filmmaker, I would make the opposite of every creative choice that he makes, maybe 98% of the time. That's all I have to go on. So yeah, I never ever thought that I would be this excited about a Halloween sequel and a Suspiria remake. And again, in this bizarro world, this is where we are now. I'll take it. And I'll see you at the movies next month.